Namaste, and this is a conversation that I've been looking forward to have for a long time. She's been one of those who've been perhaps somewhere, a role model of sorts when it comes to the pursuit of truth. That you get behind a story, you don't let go. I think Bofors Gate does justice to Chitra Subramaniam, as she says, a journalist's pursuit of truth. Chitra ji, namaskaram. Thank you.
Namaskaram.
Thank you. Thank you for
Namaskaram. Namaskaram.
one. This book has brought you to Bharat, so that's good. The other thing is there is this whole headline group which is at the back of the thing. In this, it is an Italian nexus established. There are industrialists, big names of our country which is there. But somewhere, let me first ask you, do you still remember that day and moment after the radio story in Sweden, when you first wrote your article about how Swiss banks work, etc., when you realized that you've stumbled onto something big?
If you're asking me,
Yeah.
so when the radio story happened, I was in actually holidaying with my husband in Italy, and it was the last holiday of our lives because since then Bofors took over not just my life but my conversation as well. So I came back. We were in Firenze, and then we came back by train. By which time Kumi Kapoor had been calling. In those days, there was no WhatsApp, but there was just one landline. So
And
she had
someone had
left.
to keep calling you continuously.
She
You
left.
write about it, yeah.
Correct. She left a watch on the machine. So she said, Chitra, Chitra, call me. So I called her back. I said, Kya, Kumi, what's going on? So she said, there is this story in the Swedish radio. And they have said that Indians and others have been bribed. So I wrote, that time I had no sources, and then I phoned a few bankers, and that first story had how banks work. It had nothing to do with Bofors, or I mean, how do Swiss banks work, and secret account and all had been mentioned. But during that entire it was an Easter week, Easter break, all hell had broken loose when I went to the office because there were Reuters and then denials from India. It was like a big fat, sorry, I'm speaking a bit of Tamil with you, big fat thing, all, wires. What today people won't even know what a wire story is, but then on these telex machines and all, with denials from India all over the place. And on my typewriter was stuck a little piece of paper saying, is this trouble for Mr. Clean? It was a Reuters colleague. So Mr. Rajiv Gandhi was called Mr. Clean. So then I started making my calls. I knew people in Europe. I knew people. So to come back to your question, the other way, if you had asked, and I'm sure you will, is that did I know how big this was going to be? No, absolutely no idea. No, and I write in the book that I didn't want to find out that Rajiv Gandhi was involved. I mean, I was heartbroken. I mean, here was his prime minister. He stood like, he was an attractive, good-looking guy. He made that speech, saying that he's going to take India to the next level. We will become, a superpower. I'm still ambitious of becoming a superpower. So he had given ambition wings.
Yeah.
And then to find this out was heartbreaking for me, Anand.
But when you got convinced that Mr. Clean was involved, from there, it's that was 1987? 87 is when this whole thing happened. The deal was signed just a year ago.
Just a year before.
Before that, no? March
Yes, sorry,
1986.
yeah.
So 87, you got to know that. We are now in 2025. When you see all that's transpired, what's happened to that Mr. Clean, and what kind of accountability has happened so far?
But Mr. Clean shot himself in the foot already in 87 by saying neither me nor my family is involved, and nobody accused you, right? So that's such a giveaway, like a journalist, like why did you say that? Nobody accused you. So since then, it has been one downward slide. And to answer your question, what's happened since in all these years, good and bad, good and bad. I feel that the bureaucracy, and I write in my book that the bureaucracy is very powerful. And a lot of documents that show how the bureaucrats run this country.
Yeah, there is a huge number of bureaucrats in that letter that's been signed.
The secret letter between the government of India. Look at the names.
It's there.
Look at the
this
names.
Is the page. Yeah,
Look at the names. Look who's
names are there. S.K. Bhatnagar, P.K. Kartha, G.K. Arora, and N.N. Vora, New Delhi, September 19,
These are
1987.
not small bureaucrats. These
Yeah.
are the country's top bureaucrats. And what does it say on top? Secret meeting.
Yeah, it says secret, agreed summary record of discussions between Government of India and the Bofors delegation. This is the note.
Can you imagine that you're being tutored? Bofors is being tutored by the top bureaucrats in this country. You should say this, you should not say that. And the letter further says that we can't guarantee that whatever you tell the JPC will not become public.
Also, they say that also.
Yeah.
But interesting, the last part, point number 7 says reconfirmation that the stated payments of Swedish kroner 319.6 million represented the aggregate amount paid/payable to Bofors consultants in respect to the Indian contract. So there is this entire payout that is confirmed in this.
Yes,
And then there is a list of consultants also.
yes.
That includes AE services, Svenska, and then
That document says who got paid what, everything. Yeah.
everything it says. And then this is the thing where Svenska got paid. Now, there was,
180, correct.
so there was a denial about that also, right?
Everything has been denied. And based on these documents, which were then transferred to India, the Swiss have altered their laws.
Yeah.
I
know
mean,
that.
can you imagine the world's most difficult country to win an election? And this is the Department of Justice and Police. They say that our laws were not good enough. Bofors has showed that we need to plug the loopholes. So we are doing this. And so you're the only one saying that no payments has been made. Anand, the amount of destruction that went on with this. You destroyed the judiciary, the parliament, reputations, friendships, relationships. Everything was destroyed.
But why?
That is breathtaking.
Why? In today's day and age, if I were to say $5 million, $7 million, $10 million,
Nothing, yeah.
50 is not a big amount.
No.
And if it is 3% of $1 billion contract, it doesn't amount to that much. Also.
No, but who is saying it's 3%? That document itself says 18.5% if you look at the other pages. And in today's value, it will be some trillions,
Correct. So it was not a 3% or a 5%.
No,
deal,
3%
because somewhere
was-
they say 3%, 5% as a
3% was
commission
what
for
when
consultants is
the
kosher.
radio
Yeah.
story broke. So they did some back calculation and said, okay, now 3% is a winding up charges. When I told the arms dealer that, he laughed me out of the room. That he said was, this one is 12%. And see these arms dealers who are meeting in Geneva, and they're all there. Sorry, they have like a, they don't attack each other. They're all saying, hey, you take that, I take this, I did take that. And then they protect each other.
So they cartelize.
Cartelize. And then they say, we don't have any reputation to protect. It's the politicians whose reputations have to be protected as long as the money is coming. And now, today, it's even legit. With Ukraine and with Gaza, it's all legit. And it's a ruthless cashier, cashier.
So let's dial it back. So things were going fine. You come back after a holiday, you write an article. There is somebody on the writer's desk who says, will this hurt Mr. Clean? Does it go up to Mr. Clean? You wanted to be in quasi-denial, saying, let's hope it doesn't go there. What happened thereafter? When was the first time you got your hands on a piece of evidence which said, oh my God, this is true? Did somebody reach out to you? Did any of the whistleblowers first come to you? When they came to you, what was the document that came to you first?
So, yeah.
When it all started?
Before this happened, I had Mr. George Fernandez and all sitting in my office and saying, Rajiv. So I said, where is the evidence? So then I started building slowly, and I was also pregnant. I was going to have my baby in August. And this was already in June, July, so we had a little time. So then I connected with who I call Sting, Mr. Lindström, without knowing what he was doing. Because I had friends, I made a lot of phone calls in Sweden. So this one I said, this person will know, that person will know, this person will know, that person will know, maybe not. And I had some friends also saying, try this, try that. So then I stumbled upon this person who then went on to become. Because by this time, the government of India had asked for another problem. They had asked for the Swedish National Audit Bureau to look into the money. Now, the Swedish National Audit Bureau said, So the entire purpose of the investigation was to find out if the bribes had been paid.
Correct.
So the Swedish National Audit Bureau sent that document blacking out all the payments.
So the SNAB report.
SNAB report. So based on the blacked out report, Rajiv Gandhi says, I'm not involved. After which the prosecutor, Lars Ringberg, opened an investigation. So, at every step, Anand, at every step, we were shooting ourselves in the foot. By which time I said, hey, something is wrong here. Something is wrong, And, when the Swedish journalists came here, Mr. Parthasarthi, they stuck spies on them. This entire thing about foreign CIA, all that started. So why why are you in denial? At every level there was denial. At the level of the bureaucrats, at the level of the parliament, the JPC said gave them a clean chit. On the day the JPC gave them a clean chit, my document said no. I tried to keep a straight face, but then, somewhere, I say in the book, like, my father was in the UK, he came back and said, Chitra, Amma, you people build, you build India, of ambitions, and then I'm ambitious for the country, very ambitious, and I continue to be ambitious. I mean, I tell people I'll fight my battles inside. I'm not going to fight outside.
Outside.
No. So now, I want us to be a superpower.
We'll come to all of that. I just want to start from there. That, okay, you stumbled upon some information, you started putting out, and every time there was a claim, you had a contradicting proof in your hand.
Yeah, and when my stories began to appear, it looked like they were waiting for me to write to say something else.
So they would keep shifting the goalposts?
They would keep shifting the goalposts, and I got scared because at that time only Kumi Kapoor, there was no WhatsApp or anything. She would ring me and say, listen, you've beaten
That was a Sunday Mail, no, at that time?
Kumi was with the Mail.
Mail.
And then...
India Today.
India. No, I met her in India Today. Then she went on to the Express. So she was saying every time I do a story, they say something else.
But she still wanted to publish what you wanted to,
yeah. And we were thick as thieves. She told me everything about the plans to malign me. I would know everything.
When did it first become personal with you? When, in the sense, did they start threatening, slander?
That after Nikhil was born.
So within 3-4 months, no? You started this work in June, July, March, April?
April 1987. And then when Nikhil was born Nikhil was born in August. Then subsequently, next year, year after that, it got really hairy.
What happened?
Oh, the windshield of my car was broken in a parking lot. Only my car was broken. My brakes failed. The middle of Geneva.
You were driving and... Then?
Then what? Then
would you get calls? Did somebody tell you, back off, don't do this story?
We'll kill your son.
They said that?
And the time is not on your side. So I spoke to my Swiss and Swedish people and said, listen, this is going on. And they even told me two things. At one point, they said that the threat is live. It's a live threat. And Sten said that had you been in India, something nasty could have happened to you.
They would have bumped you off, done something.
So I used to go to my car park, and with a broom I used to do all this. And then my neighbors would say, what are you doing? I'm saying, I'm just seeing you, there are some animals under my thing. And I would say, Bhoot pisach nikat nahi aave, Mahavir jab naam sunave, Hanuman Chalisa.
But if they really, were they just trying to scare you off? Did they try to buy you off?
Yes.
I remember you said you found a suitcase.
They came with the suitcase.
They came with a suitcase?
The husband said, did you look at it? I said, no. At least I would have known what my value was. They came to my office.
They did? How many of them?
One.
And what did they say? This was what, 88, 89?
No, earlier.
Earlier?
87.
87. So when the threats were happening at that time?
No, threats came later.
Threats came later. When you refused the suitcase?
Suitcase came first.
Happened? So what did they say?
A gift, a small gift, small gift for you.
And with no hint about what you were supposed to do with the gift?
Obviously. don't work on this. We'll take you around, do ladies' stories.
Who's this Miss Donovan?
Miss Donovan was putting money into my account from London.
And this is around the same time?
No, later.
Huh.
It's always one person who was trying to. It was always one person who was trying to get me.
One person?
One group of people who were trying
One
to
group
get
of people?
So I didn't move, Anand, and that is because of Mr. Stan Lindström's faith in me. Not a word that I wrote, not one, did I have to retract, not one. And you know what that means for a journalist.
Yes.
10 years, not one.
So imagine the kind of pressure those who were publishing your work must have also felt. So
Yeah, I was working with the Hindu then.
yeah.
And in the beginning, Mr. Ram was good. Subsequently, he succumbed as well. He didn't publish the most important piece of work was this.
That's a big claim you make about someone who's perceived to be the
Yeah, so
cornerstone
what can
of
I do?
good journalism, although after the Rafael fiasco,
So what can I do?
seems to be a dent
I'm
there.
writing what I lived with.
So what happened there with
What
Mr.
happened there was these documents were being given to me by Mr. Stan Lindström, and he was giving them to me. He said several times that they were given to you. You could have been working for anyone, because he was my source.
Okay.
And
Did you reveal your source? Okay, first we'll talk about
not
it later.
immediately,
Yeah.
subsequently.
Correct.
Yeah. So he said, what does the source want? That you won't fiddle with the information, and you will work according to what the deal is with the
Yeah.
source. More than that, the source doesn't want anything else. So he said, listen, all I want is that you should let me know a day or two, because he was taking his neck out.
Yeah.
And you should not you should tell me when the stuff is coming out, and you should not delay too much.
Delay too much. And compromise it somewhere.
Not compromise it.
Yeah.
So this, and as you know, we were looking at all the documents, and then the name Gandhi, trustee lawyer. Can you imagine finding the name Gandhi in a document? What it means.
And the Gandhi trustee lawyer. So there's
Meeting
a
in
trust.
Geneva, Bob had met Gandhi, trustee lawyer. This is Martin Ardbo's diary.
Yeah.
So I
This is
went
there.
to that building.
This excerpt, you've put this entire thing, no? This is the proof, right? This is the part where he says that he's actually met, he mentions the Gandhi trustee lawyer here. July 1987,
87.
Thursday, 2nd
So can you
July.
imagine how close it is to the 86? April was a revelation. So all this panic meeting was going on. So I went there. I went to that house. They threw me out. And when this was given to me, and I said, Gandhi. So then with my husband and I, we said, okay, we need a blind test. So I called a friend and I said, listen, there's a name here, you better see what it is. So he said Gandhi. So it was Gandhi.
Yeah.
And all that is mentioned in the book.
Yeah.
And you sit on this for 1 year.
Yeah. This is that line, no? Where you want to be 100% sure that this actually is
Gandhi.
G-A-N-D-H-I.
G-A-N-D-H-I, yeah.
Correct. It is.
Now you sit on this for a year.
Mr. Ram sat on it for a year.
Yeah, at least.
He didn't put it out.
No.
Why?
What do I know? And when I asked, he said he's been advised to at least a year. I want to be correct on that. He said, he's been advised for the appropriate moment. So I said, who advised you? Why? And then in Mr. Arun Shauri's book, it's mentioned that this document was lying in his office in Chennai with a whole lot of other documents. Can you imagine, Anand, what this means to a journalist when something as critical as this doesn't get published?